Hey, this is Sean. I am commenting on the Bricks and Figs subsequent advice. So this is my advice to the franchisees of Bricks and Figs. I'm not a lawyer, so consult a lawyer if you want to. But I did work in corporate America 15 years. Work closely with marketing, and I'll just say this is a disaster from a marketing standpoint. Let's look at the brand damage that they're not going to recover from Bricks and Figs. There's a stolen inventory of $200,000 worth of Legos by the Marcel family, who left it on consignment with the store. The store's flipped ownership overnight versus waiting. You're supposed to wait like a month period, so they've kind of legally questionable action where they just came in and seized the property right away. And when they're confronted by the CEO, he says, I don't know what happened. We don't know anything about these Legos. Then he changed it to, the original owner, the Marcels, approached him. Ben, the YouTuber, approached him. Still denial. Now they claim they only have $2,000 to $5,000 worth of the original kits left. They'll hand those over and try to wash their hands of it, which is basically keeping $198,000 worth of inventory. They tried to bring the original franchisee, which might have kept some of the money. That's debatable. We're not sure. Put the legal block on Ben, the YouTuber, so he couldn't even drop his part 3 and give us more information on the case. So obviously hiding behind illegal walls. And he's trying to sue Ben and the Marcels and the owners in the original case. So something totally squirrely off. I mean, he's entitled to sue people. It makes sense to him to sue the owners who ruined the brand, but to go after the Marcels who are just trying to get their product back, very questionable in the public eye. He's never come clean. He's tried to dodge and say, oh, the Marcels didn't provide any paperwork and blah, 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 and all this legalese, which is fine. But if you already got public egg on your face, you should just kind of wash your hands of this. So this is a disaster from the CEO standpoint. Bricks and Minifigs. The owners, Josh and Brandon, they forced the old hour out. They didn't give her a chance to do compensation to Brian from the store cash. Didn't allow her to do an inventory so she could come clean with Brian and know where he's at before the new owners take place. Then they refused to talk to Brian. They had him trespass from the property so he couldn't even access his own inventory. And, just completely stonewalled. They had a massive U-Haul from the videotapes of one of the lawyers. They had a U-Haul right outside the store. You could barely make it out, but there was a U-Haul outside the store. So they could have disappeared a lot of the inventory into secret locations. And apparently Josh and Brandon had other companies in the past with a lot of legal duplicitous and very sketchy legalness, and had a lot of lawsuits against him in the past. So they weren't even properly vetted by the CEO, obviously. They're obviously friends of the CEO or something to that extent, because he didn't vet them at all as far as their alleged criminal background and alleged, bad business doing. So that's like a really bad red flag on the CEO for not vetting this behavior. And also the CEO tried to put all the ownership on the original owner. When she came clean, she said there was tickets missing or they hadn't been accounted for yet. And they actually pushed her out of the store, obviously. And you have the American Fork PD. They actually colluded with Brandon and Josh to try to keep them from serving legal paperwork. Ben was obviously pulling, I would say, a lot of hijinks, you could say. So harassment, you could kind of make a case for that. But, they went after him when he said he was going to do a GoFundMe to help Brian at least get some money back out of the case. So, all along the police have colluded with them. They all belong to the same Mormon church, so the Mormon church obviously has egg on their face as well. For the whole police department, the police department has had hearings, and everyone in the community is pissed off at them, obviously, except for one of the senior city council, obviously. So yeah, just a massive collusion from Mormons and these two CEOs that knew each other, and the CEO of several legal entities was originally the CEO of Bricks and Legos and Minifigs, and they switched ownership. It's a lot of questionable business behaviors and practices from the CEO. In my theory, is the only reason he would do this is, one, he didn't have legal counsel from someone that knows how to handle this properly, which would have just paid out the Marcels and say, oh my God, we didn't know what was happening. That would have been the smart thing to do, and just play ignorance and just pay them out and then wash their hands free, and people be like, oh, they're the good guys, they just were misunderstood, whatever, it would have looked bad, but not this bad. Now think of this, if you're a franchisee owner, when are they going to throw you under the rug? You really don't have any guarantee that what they've done to the original owner of this franchisees was terrible in the first place. They didn't give her the 30 legal days to kind of do her inventory and everything. And you can make a case that the CEO had a legal right to throw her out immediately just to make sure that none of the inventory disappeared with her. I can understand that. That's definitely possible. You know, how many other bad Apple franchisees are there secretly stealing inventory? Who knows? I'm not saying it happened, but there's a possibility. And then is the CEO going to react the same and just brush it under the rug again? This is obviously going to tarnish the brand further if anything else comes out. And having, what, 350 to 400 stores nationwide, this is going to be a disaster, I would say. So this is just going to keep spinning as any more scandals come out. It's just going to amplify the original case. There are already millions of views on this case by well-known YouTubers and lawyers, and that just doesn't go away. I mean, this is probably as well-known as the Amber Heard case with Johnny Depp. I would say it's on that level of well-known, because you're having international people comment on this case as well. From my standpoint, the Bricks and Minifigs, that brand name is just completely toast. Unfortunately, due to the CEO. You know, you could have some bad franchisees like Brandon and Josh, but if the CEO had corrected it correctly and flushed them out immediately, which he did eventually fire them, but, you know, they didn't take the right thing of just paying up the Marcells and making a public apology that this will never happen again. They took the opposite stance and trying to sue the Marcells and say they didn't have enough documentation, and just a disaster from a CEO standpoint. And, you know, he was big in his britches because he ran a huge corporation. I get that, because I've seen CEOs and they do have really big egos, and you kind of have to run an organization like that. But he didn't take any legal advice, and he didn't take any franchisee scandal advice. He probably didn't have a risk department. So, you know, this guy's just poorly run at the corporate level, and he's going to undermine the whole franchise at best, besides the branding disaster that's been. So my advice, get out while you can. Just rebrand your company from Bricks and Mortars AYZ to Legoland Company, whatever, Resell or 8YZ, whatever it is. That's my advice. Take it easy, guys.